Getting into college is much more challenging than it used to be, and with tuition going through the roof, paying for college is much more daunting. But there are concrete steps that both students and parents can take to make the college application experience a whole lot less stressful. Hello everybody, and welcome to Straight A Nation. I'm your host, Brittany Frazier, and for the next 30 minutes, you're going to hear important information and perspective from students who are currently attending some of the nation's top universities, such as Harvard, MIT, and Tufts. You will also hear from students who have been recently accepted into colleges such as Princeton, Dartmouth, Colby, Bates, NYU, and Emerson. And you'll get to hear from one of New England's top educators, Mr. Felix Alvarado Jr., or as his students call him, Mr. A. With over 30 years as a professional educator, Mr. A is an innovator who has written various curricula, been a Teacher of the Year at one of the top public schools in the country, founded a tutoring center, a boutique private school, and has become the #1 college test prep and admissions coach in New England. I can personally attest to Mr. A's skills, having been one of his students myself. Listen up as he dispels 15 fallacies about getting into college. Oh, and grab a pen and paper. You're going to want to take notes. Fallacy number 1. Colleges are altruistic, nonprofit organizations that operate solely in the best interest of their students.
Would that it were so. Unfortunately, universities, like all corporations, whether they be for-profit or nonprofit, are looking out for their own interests first and foremost. And remember, they have many constituencies that they serve, not just the student. They have government agencies and private corporations that supply them with research and development monies. So they have a lot to take into account, not just the student's interest. Let's take a quick example. The early action, early admission process. It didn't used to be a cutoff of November 15th or November 1st. They've been pushing it back further and further. And you see, that's not always with the student in mind. Whatever their motives are, you can rest assured that they're looking out for their own interests in doing this. I've even heard some rumors that the early admission process could be pushed back as far as the end of the junior year. Do you think they would be doing that for the students? I don't really think so. It might help some students. Some students might benefit from this, but the vast majority of students will not. So keep in mind that even though colleges and universities might really care and might be interested in their students, their first and foremost responsibility is to their own bottom line. So it's up to you to watch out for yourself.
Fallacy number 2. I can get any information I need on the college websites.
Not so. Yes, you can find out all the statistical data on the college website, but you're going to want to make a college visit whenever possible because there's a lot of information you can find out that's not on the website. You need to talk to college officials. You need to take the official tour. And you need to follow Robert Frost's advice and take the road less traveled, get off the beaten path, and meet organically, naturally with students on campus and ask them questions. Have a list of questions for both college officials and students on campus that will help you identify if this college is the right fit for you.
Fallacy number 3. College rankings are an important criterion for selecting a college.
Not at all. Remember, the most important thing is to make sure that you are the right match for the college and that the college is the right fit for you. An educator friend of mine once said, there is an education on every college campus, and he's so right, because ultimately it's up to you to determine your own success. Now, I'm pleased that my alma mater has a high ranking. University of Michigan routinely makes it into the top 20 in most world rankings, and that's fantastic, but at the end of the day, I still have to get up every morning, I have to do the work, I have to determine my own success, and the same thing goes for you, no matter what college you go to, whether it's the Harvard of the Midwest or Harvard itself. So it's up to you, rankings don't matter, and I'm sorry I had to give my own alma mater a plug.
Let's take a quick break and go to our field reporter, Brock Higley, as he goes straight A walking at Harvard University.
Thank you, Brittany. We're just across the Charles River from Boston in Cambridge, Massachusetts, on the Harvard campus, here to interview some current college students. So what's your name?
I'm Keith.
I'm Aaron Ozturk. I'm from Huntington Beach, California.
I'm Elizabeth Shiley. I'm from Dallas, Georgia.
Rihanna Rich, Los Angeles.
Awesome. Couple California girls.
Yeah. Definitely.
Georgia Beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your name?
Aaron Lockhart from Lincoln, Nebraska.
We're all going to be roommates next year.
It sounds dangerous.
It is.
What's the biggest piece of advice that you can give to students who are applying for either the school you're going to or just any college in general?
Definitely apply to the schools that you want to go to, not the schools you feel pressured to go to, because I feel like a lot of students feel pressured. We all chose a school not because it's Harvard. We think it's a good fit for us. We love the community here. We didn't go here because of the name that it has. So just apply to schools that you want to. It doesn't matter how the name that the school has, it's how it fits you.
Do you think you can A, be comfortable here and B, succeed here?
You want the college to be a good fit for you, but the college also wants you to be a good fit.
Yeah. I have a twin brother that's at Georgia Tech, and I think that he had this pressure that, oh, I need to go to MIT or Harvard or one of these big time schools, and he got into Georgia Tech. He loves it.
So I think you should definitely take the most rigorous classes you can in high school that are available to you. You should really push yourself to that limit and basically try and challenge yourself academically. Outside of that, do things that you care about. When I was in high school, I was into music. I participated in a lot of music activities, band activities. So do something you care about, and when you do that, that'll shine through in your application.
Academically, don't slack off. Every test becomes important senior year, and it's kind of you're kind of pressured to maybe, this test isn't going to be as important, but every single test that you take in high school is important, and it'll carry over into college.
I would say don't stress too much. I know it's a really stressful process, but I really do believe that everyone gets into the school that they're supposed to go to, and you'll find your place somewhere and you'll love it and you'll have a great time.
Going off of Elizabeth, but really push yourself in the classroom and in your extracurriculars, because colleges love seeing all those things on your resume and things like that. But also make sure you visit the campuses. I know that it can be a pain to going to so many, but a college could look great on paper and be completely different in person.
Be yourself, be passionate, and don't try and fit into a mold that the college might be looking for. Just be yourself, and if it works out for you, that'll be great, but just be honest to yourself, and I think that'll reflect well in your application.
How were you able to shape and mold your college essay to make it into just as good as you wanted it to be?
Yeah, so I wrote about something that I cared about, like I mentioned before, and I had a few teachers that I respected that helped me along with the process, that would help me edit some parts of it and basically let me know what they thought about it, and just working with that, but working mainly on your own, obviously, and talking about something that you care about. And when you do talk about something you care about, you find it much easier to write that kind of essay, and just getting some feedback about what people think and their reflections on it really can help you make a product that works for you in the end.
It's pretty important because it just shows who you are. It's not about making it a perfect essay, it's about showing who you are. So I feel that's the only way that the admissions can see what you're all about.
And I think that they're not just admitting a student, they're admitting a person. So I think although you want your essay to be well crafted and eloquent and that kind of stuff, but you want it to be truthful and honest as well. And it's kind of your personal narrative. So I think that I put a lot of importance in, I put a lot of effort into mine because I wanted them to get a good idea of who I was.
Yeah, and I think it's important to choose something that you it's important to you, so then you can write about yourself, and then when they read it, they're oh, I want this person to come to Harvard.
And when you were taking your standardized test, the ACT, SAT, did you do any prep before that?
I didn't have any official prep. I studied on my own. I had some of the SAT books. I took practice exams. I think the best thing for standardized testing for undergrad or even for going into grad school is just to maybe get a book and take some practice exam, take them under testing conditions, and I think that's just a recipe for some degree of success.
So for me, it was taking practice exams, and that's how I prepared, and I think that's what helped me the most.
For me, at least, I went to a prep class, and I think that's what really got me, because I was pretty high, and then when I went to the prep class, it got me a little bit higher, which was better than where it was.
Fallacy number 4. Great grades and high SATs are all you need to be admitted to a selective college.
On the contrary, grades and SAT scores and ACT scores are like the outer gates that let you through to get interviewed. Once you meet those minimum requirements of GPA and standardized test exam, and many colleges do no longer require a standardized test score, that's just getting you through the initial portal. At that point, they become irrelevant. And what matters most now will be your college essay, your school activities, your letters of recommendation, examples of leadership, community service, and the overall picture that makes you fit well with that college. So grades and standardized test scores, important, but that's just to get you into the college admissions process. You meet those minimum requirements, and the whole game changes, and you have to focus on building the rest of your profile.
Fallacy number 5. Standardized college entrance exams are just IQ tests, and you cannot really study for them.
Oh, yes, you can. I beg to differ with you. After decades of working with students and helping them improve their SAT and ACT test scores dramatically, I can assure you that students who practice and train can improve their test scores. Some of my students will make dramatic jumps all at once, but the vast majority of students will make incremental gains. And so really you should prepare to take these tests 2, 3, maybe even 4 times before you hit your peak performance. So yes, you can prepare, yes, you can improve through training and coaching.
Fallacy number 6. Colleges are looking for well-rounded students.
En contraire, mon ami, that is not so at all. Colleges are looking for well-rounded classes. Think of it this way. There's 5,000 well-rounded students applying for positions at a college. What is going to distinguish you from all of the other well-rounded students? You all look alike. Think about it. On paper, statistically, you'll all look well-rounded. The colleges want well-rounded classes of individuals, so you need to focus on what makes you unique, what makes you stand out, what makes you special, right? So that when colleges take a look at your profile, they'll say, oh, this student has an experience or ability or talent or something that stands out from the rest of the many well-rounded students. So keep that in mind when you are packaging your profile.
Hey Brock, since you're already in Cambridge, why don't you pop on over to MIT?
After a dizzying drive, we're here on the MIT campus where they're preparing for graduation, so you will hear a little banging during these interviews. So what's everyone's name?
Stephanie.
Alita.
Levon.
So where's everyone from?
Virginia.
Chicago.
California.
Oh, you said your city.
Oh, sorry.
Illinois, for those who don't know.
Year are you here at MIT?
We're all freshmen.
Yeah.
All freshmen? Oh, awesome.
Oh, that's
So you're really
perfect.
close to the process. That's great.
Sure.
What was one aspect of yourself that you highlighted when applying for college?
I guess probably just being active and doing stuff like outside of it. Like I was on cross country and I was doing travel soccer for like 10 years. So I think that having all those like team building exercises, while it's like kind of seems like a give me, I think it was a pretty good idea to put it on my college application.
What I focused on was like making sure that my like passion came through. So like whatever I decided to devote myself during high school, like I was very involved in like activism and like raising awareness about diversity. Like I made sure to like highlight that I was like very, very involved in that, and I was like very passionate about that.
And actually, same here. Like I mentioned my extracurriculars, like 4 years of marching band and then robotics, and just how much I cared about that and the communities I built within those groups.
Yeah, that's awesome. So a lot of kids, high school students, stress out about the college essay, of course, because they think it's extremely important, which it is. What can you give when advice about the college essay?
I guess I would say like the college essay is like the part that you use to like highlight yourself, because they get like your academics from everything else, from your GPA, your like your grades, your resume. They get all that already. This is like your time to like tell them who you are So like actually like try to describe who you are as a person, like your personality, like what you're passionate about, your dreams, your aspirations. Let that come through your essays.
Yeah, let your character shine through, and that's really important. So admissions, like reps and all that, they know who like you really are, more than just like a list of resume things.
Yeah.
And also, I guess just remember, like when you're going over it in post, like you don't have to be the only one to edit it. There's like a lot of people that can help you editing it. And even if you feel like, oh, maybe my ideas won't stay on the paper if like somebody else is helping me, like you should still go over having some people's ideas, because sometimes they can find a way to say it that you weren't thinking about it.
So standardized tests is another thing that students tend to stress out about, and they focus a lot of their energy on. When you were taking a standardized test, such as the ACT and the SAT, did you do test prep?
Yeah, I had a SAT prep class, and then I was really bad at the SAT, so I decided to do the ACT. So then I had like a book of like ACT practice tests. And first, I'd like to say you should always take the ACT because it's easier than the SAT. And I think that helped. I mean, it wasn't really like so much as like going to a tutoring place, so much as just being able to do practice questions and just like having access to other people who took it before.
I did a lot of self-studying for myself. So I also took the ACT because I found it easier than the SAT.
Exactly.
But I took a lot of like classes offered like by my local library. Like I would go in and take a lot of practice tests. That was my strategy. I just took a lot of practice tests all throughout the year, and that really helped.
Yeah, I was in a college prep program called Upward Bound, and they're for like first-generation college students. And they paid for an SAT prep class, and that actually really helped because I think just like exposure to these tests is like what helps best. Just practice, practice, practice. You can't really study for them. Yeah, and ACT is easier.
If you were to give any words of wisdom to students who are applying, what words of wisdom would you give?
If you apply to multiple colleges and you fail to get in one, then that means you're not perfect, and everybody's not perfect, so you're with everybody else.
I guess like don't focus so much on like the prestige of the college. Like it's good, like you should look at like where the academics will be the best for you, but also look where you're gonna fit in the most, because like a huge part of being in college is like you are gonna be living here for like the next 4 years. So like make sure you look at the culture, at the dorms, like everything like that. So.
Don't stress out too much about just like one thing. College application process is like holistic, as I like to put it. They look at everything about you. You're more than just test scores and like a GPA. Everything matters. Keep that in mind.
Awesome. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you very much.
Fallacy number 7. Teachers really like me. I'm sure I'll get good recommendations.
Okay, I believe you. So your teachers like you. That's awesome. But you must remember the following 3 things when asking a teacher for a recommendation. Number 1, and most importantly, you must give that teacher plenty of time, plenty of advance notice. I recommend at least a month, because I don't care how much I like you. If you come to me and say, hey, Mr. A, can you write me a letter of recommendation? And by the way, it's due next week. I'm not going to be happy, and you're not going to get my best. So give your teacher at least a month notice. That's number 1. Number 2, make sure that you hand the teacher a list of achievements, experiences, activities, something about you to remind the teacher of things that you've done, maybe something relationship-wise with that teacher that you've experienced, maybe you went on a class trip together, some anecdote to remind the teacher of that special relationship you have with him or her. And number 3, you really want to consider, is this teacher a good writer, right? Because you might have a great relationship, but if that teacher is not able to articulate well a recommendation for you, then maybe you ought to steer yourself towards another teacher.
Fallacy number 8. The regional college representative is not all that important in the process.
I beg to differ. Remember, everything in life boils down to relationships. Build a strong relationship with the college admissions representative from the colleges you're interested in, because they can help you with a lot of things, not the least of which is giving you insight to know how to package yourself for your application. And when time comes and the decision-making process is in full swing and they're going to decide whether or not to accept you, that college admissions representative, if you have a good relationship with him or her, will argue for you when the time comes.
Fallacy number 9. Colleges really don't care if you're interested in them.
Yes, they do. In fact, a high interest score matters a lot. Think of it this way. Put yourself in the perspective of the college admissions people, and they're looking at students who they don't seem that interested, or they're trying to play the field, or hey, I have got great offers from other schools. Why would I secure a seat for you when I feel like you're going to jump ship on me? So showing high interest level is very important. So no matter what college you're applying to, you have to find a sincere and genuine way to let them feel that you are very interested and that that college is your number one choice.
Next, Brock pays a visit to Tufts University in Medford, Massachusetts.
So what's everyone's name?
I'm Nick. Tucker.
I'm Duyun.
I'm Jason.
Okay. Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Brock.
Brock. Hello.
Nice to meet you guys. So when you were applying for college, what were some specific aspects that you highlighted within your college application?
I would say I tried to focus not like on my grades, but sort of what activities I did that defines my personality, sort of like all my extracurriculars, what I found enjoyment outside of school in.
I definitely tried to highlight my international experience and sort of how I wanted that to be sort of the focus of my academic experience as well.
I wrote about solving Rubik's Cubes because I like to do that.
Oh yeah, I wrote about sleeping. I wrote about how much I liked sleeping.
That's really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to have a lot of academic interests and be, focus on that really hard, but you want to show colleges that you're well-rounded and can add a lot to the community, not just to the academics.
Yeah, it's about like what makes you special as a person, not what you don't want to just be defined by your grades.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how I got in here with my grades, so they just weren't. I would cry if I looked at my transcript now.
So I can hear you talking about writing, and specifically I think you're talking about your college essay.
Yeah.
So a lot of kids stress out about the college essay, and it's definitely one of the most important aspects of the college application. How did you prepare when you were writing your college essay?
You just don't want to seem like fake. You want to like present your real self, because that'll come through if you're like trying to put on an act. I think it'll show in the writing. You want to be true to yourself, and people will appreciate that.
Yeah, it helps to like talk about it with friends and family and like people who know you really well, and discuss your answers with them, because then you kind of just get the answer by talking about it.
Yeah, and what I was told is, college admissions, they'll read hundreds and hundreds of these essays. So you want to write something that they haven't read before, and that's what's going to get you noticed. So you want to write something that's unique to you. You don't want to just be another person talking about their community service experience,
You also don't want to make stuff up though, because they know when it's fake.
Oh yeah. Don't lie.
Yeah, definitely. So another aspect of the college application are standardized tests. When you guys were preparing for standardized tests, did you do any prep outside of your high school or anything like that?
Actually, I didn't take the SAT. I only took the ACT.
Yeah, I did the ACT.
Yeah.
I think just doing practice tests. It's because it's like it's a skill. Like being in the room, like taking the test, is it's a separate skill from the math and the reading and the comprehension, whatever you do.
Yeah,
so
it's
just
definitely not, like,
practicing it,
knowledge.
like practicing like taking a long test, like kind of like a draining exam, just getting ready like that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I took the SAT and I did the same stuff. I just took practice exams. I did take a course, but I realized that it did not help me that much, to be honest. So I would say practice exams are the best bet. Because
what was it about the course that didn't help?
Because
it's too general. Like,
Yeah.
it's not to you. Like, they don't know specifically what you need. Like, it's going to be a class of different people with different struggles and strengths, and they're not going to focus on you. So I guess, like, having a one-on-one tutor could be helpful.
the test isn't about what you know. It's about taking the test and understanding how to take that test. That's why I feel like courses won't always teach you that. They'll try to teach you the content instead, but what you need to learn is how to take that test.
So finally, what's one piece of wisdom that you can give to current high school students who are applying for college?
The best advice I think that I could give is to really work on your supplements, really work on your Common App. I think that's where admissions officers see differences in people, because otherwise just a bunch of numbers.
Don't be disappointed, I guess. I had a lot of expectations for what schools I would get into and like what kind of college I would end up at, and Tufts was definitely not on my radar, but it's perfect here and I love it, and I wouldn't be like the person that I am if I hadn't come here. And so things find a way of working itself out, I think.
Yeah. You know, it's not the end all be all of your whole life,
Yeah.
right? And you're going to end up where you were meant to be, I think. You know, I think you talk to anybody here and they wouldn't change their experience for the world. Like, you're just going to end up where you're supposed to be, and you'll make the most of it and love it.
Don't define yourself about where you get into and where you don't get into, because that doesn't determine what your successes in life are going to be or anything like that. Just do what you're passionate about, and everything else will fall into place.
Fallacy number 10. Financial planning early in the process isn't important. This topic can be addressed after you see where your student is admitted.
Yeah, no. Obviously, the sooner you start saving money, the better. But the whole process includes more than just saving money. For example, many scholarships that you apply for will offer that scholarship to an underclassman. In other words, you do not have to be in your senior year to apply for many, many scholarships. So, in fact, many scholarships would rather give their award to an underclassman, because then they don't have to pay out that scholarship for a year or two. So, check out fastweb.com for additional help and start your scholarship searches even as a freshman.
Fallacy number 11. Private colleges are too expensive. We could never afford private college tuition, so we will not apply.
Not so. Sure, private colleges are more expensive, but private colleges also have much larger endowments. So if a private college really wants you at their school, they're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. They're going to bring you to their university, even if they have to give you a full ride if they really, really want you. They can afford it. So don't be afraid to apply to these colleges. I'll give you a quick example. Here in New Hampshire, one of the most prestigious universities in the country, an Ivy League college, Dartmouth, their philosophy is, if you're the right fit for us and we're the right fit for you, you're coming to Dartmouth, no matter what the finances say. And they have the endowment to support that philosophy.
Fallacy number 12. The financial aid offer from your admitting college is final. You cannot negotiate the level of merit scholarship or financial aid.
False. If you're not happy with the financial aid offer made to you by a university, you can make an appeal. And keep in mind that there's this thing called the 80-20 principle, in which maybe 20% of the people will have knowledge that they can negotiate and that they can ask for more money. And colleges typically hold back a little bit of the money that they have to offer out in merit scholarship monies, so that when students ask for more, they can afford to give them a little bit more to hopefully keep them staying and going to their university. But it's sort of like the old biblical principle that says, you have not because you ask not. So ask for more, and if you do it in a tactful way, 99% of the time you will be offered more money.
Finally, our man in the field, Brock Higley, goes straight A walking at his own high school, the prestigious Derryfield School in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Thank you, Brittany. And here I am at the Derryfield School, my current high school, with Polly Carter. How are you doing, Polly?
I'm great, Brock. How are you?
Good, thanks. So, what we're going to do here is I'm going to ask you a few questions pertaining to your college experience with the college process. So in your opinion, how important do you think the college essay is within the college process?
I think the college essay is a really important part, which is just something that I think everyone's told when they start their college application. I think it's your chance to say what you want to say. But I think more importantly than that are the pieces that you do throughout your high school career that shape who you are and that come across in your college essay, for example, or in your application as a whole. For example, like I led clubs. Athletics is a big part of my my high school experience. So I think that the college essay is important, but what you do throughout high school is as important.
I definitely say that the college essay is one of, if not the most important aspect of the application. You can differentiate yourself. That's where you have your own voice.
I felt like the college essay was the most important part of my application.
Again, I think it's really important because it highlights how unique you are. That's your one moment to show that I'm not just a lacrosse player and a musical person, that there's more to me, and that, I wrote about sea turtles in mine, which is very unique to myself and how that relates to me. So I find them really important because it makes you different, it makes you stand out.
Personally, I focused actually on standardized testing, which I know is different than a lot of people, because I'm more scientifically and math-oriented person, which is kind of hard to express in a college essay. Yeah. So I really focused on getting my standardized test scores high so that they could see, personally, I'm a very good test taker, but I'm perhaps not the best at writing.
I think I made up ground where I lost it with standardized tests in my essay. No matter how short that piece of writing is, but it's incredibly hard, but incredibly important too, to try to encapsulate who you are and what makes you unique as a person. Work with teachers and mentors to hone what you're trying to say about yourself, and I would definitely say very, very, very important for me especially.
I would say it's probably the most important part. Aside from grades, it allows an individual's voice to be heard, and that's what makes you unique to who's writing your essays.
What do you think are some really important aspects that you highlighted within yourself when applying to college?
I think when you are trying to get into these schools, it's more competitive than ever. And I think a crucial part is that you have multiple hooks, if you want to say. So for me, athletics was a huge part of that. And what I did throughout high school with lacrosse. One was my leadership in clubs and amongst my peers and within the classroom. And then the third is showing a weakness, I think. And I know that sounds weird, but I highlighted this in my essay, a time when I misjudged someone or just a weakness in myself that I then came over. But I think acknowledging that you don't know everything or that you don't have everything under control, I think shows a lot of wisdom.
I made sure to highlight my ability to be involved in creative processes and to highlight my commitment and determination through long-term projects, such as I'm an Eagle Scout, which has been a decade-long project now. So I made sure to have that present in my application.
My leadership qualities, my community service time, and also sports. So those three were main ones.
I specifically highlighted in pretty much all of my college interviews and supplementary essays how at Derryfield I really created my own courses for independent study in screenwriting and then independent study in Chinese, so a lot of individual learning and seeking out what I really wanted to learn about.
Personally, I think the college application process is a lot about highlighting what's different about yourself because so many people are the same. Being, from Bedford and where I come from, I'm not seen as a very diverse applicant. So personally, I focused on kind of how I'm slow. That's what I wrote about in my college essay, and I wrote about how slow can be a good thing because it gives me time to slow down and really recognize what's going on in my life.
For me, I think it's really important to show myself off to colleges as a very well-rounded person. So I play 3 varsity sports, and that's really great. It's for extracurricular activities, but I also tried to balance that out with some other things that I really enjoyed to do, like Mata UN, for example. So balancing maybe some different extracurricular activities outside of school that are from very different walks.
I started SAT prep my freshman year of high school, and one thing that I did that was that I know a lot of my friends did that was very helpful is you can go to an SAT prep place. For me, I think that the one thing that helped is I didn't really view it as a chore. I didn't really, as odd as it sounds, I didn't really mind doing it because I knew that it was going to help get me to the place I wanted to go.
After taking the SAT and ACT, I realized how it's not the only thing that matters, because when I was prepping for it, I was like, if I don't get this score, I'm not going to get into this school. So on my SAT, I ended up getting a 2050 for my super score, and my ACT composite was a 32. And that's like bottom or like even out of the range for like Princeton and Brown. But like as long as you're like within like the minimum of a school, like you don't even have to be in their range, because that's just like 25% to 75%. So as long as you're in that range, they'll like still consider you just like get your foot in the door kind of. So you still want to do good, but like you don't have to have the best SAT and ACT score to get into a good school.
I did some tutoring, which was long hours, and it was mostly to, kind of revamp the geometry skills, because that was very lacking when you've kind of accelerated past that point in your real school year.
In the beginning, I just took my junior year, I took the SATs in December for like a first trial one and did not do as well as I expected. And I kept taking them, and I did some tutoring at Derryfield, and then I went to Straight A Academy in Bedford, and then my scores improved to like, I ended up like 1910, so they jumped like 300 points, which was really good. Yeah. And I strongly recommend getting prep, because I felt like there's only so much I could do myself, and there's a lot of different techniques to taking them, and just finding out how things are worded and what they're really asking is definitely one of the harder aspects of the SATs.
What's the single most important advice that you would give to any student who's starting the college process?
I think that you have to work hard and don't give excuses, that what you get out of it is what you put into it, and it doesn't just start junior year. That to get where you want to go, you need to put work in and be focused and present and driven all through high school, and set goals for yourself and achieve them, and don't let people distract you from that.
You don't have to worry about if you see other people know where they want to go at the beginning of the year, or really know what you want to major in. I really didn't know where I wanted to go or what schools I really wanted to look at until like December or something, is when I really found the school that I really, really loved and the program that I loved. And so I felt nervous with all my friends doing ED, like, am I supposed to do that? Do I need to go for early decision? Is it weird that I haven't heard back yet? But then really just go at your own pace, I think, is the best way, or like best advice I can give, because everyone's process is so different and unique that it's really about you, and you need to find your experience and what you really look for in a college, so you can take your time with that and you don't have to worry about it.
I think the college process can be an extremely stressful time. So my parents always stressed to me when I was going through this to maintain a balance. Maintain a balance between working hard on whatever you have to do for the college process, whether that be writing your essay or studying for the SATs or the ACTs or whatever that may be, but then balancing it with fun time with your friends, or having a nice dinner out with your family, or going on a hike somewhere. So I think that maintaining a balance between the stress rigors of applying for college and the stress that can entail, between something that's relaxing and fun for you to do, was very, very helpful for me.
I would say have a definite outlet for stress. Personally, I am a runner, so whenever I had a big deadline coming up, I just go for an hour and a half long run. It would get all the adrenaline, all the stress out. I could then sit down, focused, and do what I needed to do.
One piece of advice I would offer is to just keep your head on your shoulders. It's a hectic time. Parents will be asking you every question under the sun about what you're going to be doing next year. But you just have to know that you'll figure it out, and all good things will come. So just stay present and excited about the next year, not worried.
Definitely.
And another thing I would say is definitely visit the schools, because some of the schools that I thought I would like the most, I actually didn't like for various reasons. The vibe you get, the style of the campus, the feeling of the size of the campus, they're all very different. So that's kind of my main recommendation. Visit and just go with your gut.
My campus tours, I found I got more out of it if my mom and I just walked around by ourselves.
So I went to the physics department, and we saw that a teacher was there. So we knocked on his door and we're like, hey, can we interrupt you for a moment? He ended up being the head of the department, and he gave us an entire tour of the physics department, and we talked about a lab that they were doing that we had actually just completed. So I was like, this is awesome.
One thing that I found really helpful for myself to kind of hone the search a little bit was to just go on as many tours as I could. Yeah. So, for example, this summer, my family and I took a huge trip down south, coming down the eastern coastline to visit as many schools as I could, just to see and just to get a taste from all different flavors and all different schools.
Fallacy number 13. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Lie. Maybe in the commercials, and maybe as it pertains to traveling to Vegas, but this is no longer true in a social media crazed world. Probably all of you have heard of examples of students losing scholarship monies, student athletes losing their scholarship, students having letters of acceptance rescinded. Just look in the papers, it happens all the time now. You must be savvy, you must be aware that when anyone is looking into your background to find out if you're a good fit for their college, if you're a good fit to work at their location, the company, this could go back many, many years, by the way, too. You've got to clean up your social media profile. Please be mindful of what you put on there. Because if you're trying to show, hey, you partied or whatever, I don't want to know about it, okay? I don't want to know about it, and you don't want the colleges to know about it either. And furthermore, live a clean life and you won't have any junk to put on social media in the first place.
Fallacy number 14. Junior year is your most important year. That is when the college application process truly begins.
Nope. Not even close. Think about it. Your junior year has the same impact on your GPA as does your sophomore year or your freshman year. I think people have fallen into this false paradigm because so much happens in the junior year. So many students wait till their junior year when they could be doing things earlier. In the junior year, you're taking not only your end-of-year exams, but you're also taking SAT-2 subject tests, and you're taking AP exams, and SATs and ACTs. And if you think about that, we need to take some of the pressure off of your junior year, and we need to spread it out a little bit. And that's why the straight A method recommends that you start training for SATs and ACTs in your sophomore year, so that by fall of your junior year, hopefully you've hit your peak and you're done with your SATs and ACTs, and you can relaxed finish out the rest of your junior year focusing more on your school experience and maybe AP exams in the spring. But when you're trying to do AP exams and SATs and ACTs and everything all at once, junior year has traditionally been very pressureful, but it's not the most important by any means. You've got to start freshman year, sophomore year, junior year. And to be honest, I think part of the reason why this false paradigm exists is because some of you kids have kind of goofed around your freshman and sophomore year and waited till your junior year to get serious. And so your guidance counselors and your parents and school officials are all trying to encourage you, hey, it's not too late to start taking school seriously. So I think that's part of the reason why the false paradigm exists. But junior year is not the most important. It is as important, of course, as all of the others. But let's also think about taking some of the pressure off of your junior year and spreading it out a little bit.
Finally, fallacy number 15. The high school counselors and officials will help guide my student through the entire process. It's their job.
It is not true at all. And I think that makes this the worst of all of the fallacies, of all of the false paradigms in education out there, because it sets everyone up for failure. Think about it for a moment. If parents and students are waiting on guidance counselors to drive the process forward, and it's not their job, then it never gets done. It is unfair to expect your guidance counselors to take on that role and responsibility. They have too many responsibilities at school that they're dealing with on a daily basis. If they're too busy putting out fires, student needs that have nothing to do with college, and as it pertains to helping students with college, they are an important resource. Talk to them, they can give you deadlines, they can help. But do not rely on them. Do not expect them to drive the process forward. Remember, they have about 300 other students that they're working with as well. So it's entirely unfair to put that expectation on the guidance counselors. Even at private schools where they have counselors hired specifically for college admissions, many of these counselors, they have a very full plate and they're busy, and not all of them, are created equal. Not all of them are as well prepared or as well trained either. So keep in mind that the reason why guys like me exist in terms of college coaching and helping with this process is because there is a need. There's a strong need in the marketplace to help students, to help parents get through this college process. And now wealthier families can afford to pay people like myself anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 to help manage this process for them. But let's face it, most people don't have that to afford to put towards helping get their children into college. So if you go to straighta.com, you can find free and inexpensive ways of helping you get through this process.
I hope you gleaned a lot of helpful information and perspective. For even more help and perspective, visit www.straighta.com or www.straightanation.com. Like Straight A Academy on Facebook, follow Mr. A on Twitter @straighta_com, and subscribe to the Straight A YouTube channel. All of our content is free. Special thanks to the Derryfield School faculty and students. On behalf of Mr. A, Brock Higley, and the entire Straight A Nation family, I'm Brittany Frazier, and thank you for tuning in to Straight A Nation.